Good evening, everyone. It's meteorologist Terry Swails. You're on tswails.com, and this is your Monday evening weather briefing. Back to work today after the big holiday, and of course, the weather was really nice out there. Summer-like conditions all across eastern Iowa and western Illinois. Temperatures were warm, and humidity levels about what you'd expect to see at this time of year. Pretty typical July day. But there have been other parts of the Midwest where the weather hasn't been quite so nice. Look at the thunderstorm clusters down in southern and central Illinois, off into Indiana. Some more forming out there in western Iowa. Additional storms up in Minnesota and Wisconsin. Several focused areas of energy today that's generating these showers and thunderstorms. And the current look at the radar here shows the most active region right now up there in parts of southwestern Wisconsin. A little line of storms trying to get going there. That'll probably weaken a little bit as it moves to the southeast. More storms behind that over western Minnesota. And then the area I think is really going to get going later on tonight is down there in southwestern Iowa towards northern Missouri. Those thunderstorms should really increase in intensity here later on tonight as an upper air disturbance drops in from the northwest and the upper level jet stream begins to kick in. And that should focus the showers and thunderstorms into a major cluster that will generate significant rains, especially from the Iowa border southward into the northern one-third to one-half of Missouri. I could see rains down that way on the order of 3 to 5 inches. This is the actual rain forecast off the GFS. It's showing some spots north of Kansas City there around 3.5 inches. But with these big thunderstorm clusters, you can see a lot of rain in a short period of time, especially if you get some training. And I do expect flash flooding is going to be a concern down that way. We're very fortunate here in eastern Iowa and western Illinois. That's not about 150 to 200 miles further north, or we'd have some big problems on our area rivers and streams here later tonight and again into the week. But that will not be the case, and one of the reasons why is on the Cape here. This is the convective available potential energy, and the brighter colors down there in Missouri and central Illinois, where you're getting into those purples and eventually the grays. That's where the capes are over 5,000 joules, and that's where the most unstable air is currently located. So the thunderstorms are really going to be concentrated, at least the ones of greatest concern, in that general region as we go through the late afternoon and eventually nighttime hours. And even though the Severe Storms Forecast Center has a slight risk that does include most of my viewing area, I'm thinking the severe weather potential is going to be much, much greater off to the west and south of us from southwestern Iowa, southeastern Nebraska, and right on down into northern Missouri. Here's where the greatest severe weather threat is as far as I'm concerned, and this is really for wind, and you can see that little corridor there that cuts right across the southwest tip of Iowa into Missouri. That's where there's at least a 30 to 40% chance of high winds tonight, over 60 miles an hour. Probably going to be some hail down that way too, but the tornado risk, not overly great, only about 5% in that area over southeastern Nebraska and extreme northeastern Kansas. So tornadoes don't look to be a big issue, but as we get a big old MCS to form tonight, probably going to be some bow echoes and some high winds off to the southwest of the Quad Cities. Once this system goes on by, look what happens to our storm track here. It cuts in sharply from the northwest, and once again, this is going to usher in a very refreshing air mass, especially for the middle of July here, early July. Temperature is going to take another nosedive, and here we're looking at the anomalies for highs as we get towards our Wednesday afternoon. And by then, the temperatures should be at least 10 to 15 degrees below normal once again, and it would not at all be surprising to see some locations holding in the 70s for highs right over eastern Iowa and western Illinois. And again, I stress this time of year, we're in one of the hottest periods normally when highs should be up there around 86 to 87 degrees. But we will not be dealing with that anytime soon, I can assure you that. Once this front goes on by, we're headed downward on the temperatures, and I think this is really going to go on for quite some time. Take a look at this here. This is the 16-day temperature anomaly, and all throughout the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes states, temperatures are expected to be below normal by several degrees here. So we're going out 2 more weeks, and we're already about 2/3 of the month through July here. So if this pans out, you can expect to see plenty of cool temperatures, and there's some reasons to really think this is going to verify. Take a look at this. This is a typhoon, which is now off to the southeast of Japan. And it's a super typhoon. It's a big old dog out there. And this is expected to track to the east of Japan and then on up into the North Pacific. And that's important because when that happens, it tends to sharply buckle the jet stream over the northwestern United States and get us a northwesterly flow. And if you take a look out into the Pacific, this is the jet stream out there, and that little bright spot, that circle that you see way in the corner of the imagery there, that's where the actual typhoon is located tonight. And so the ridge that's out in the Pacific will take this thing off to the north and east. And if you look a little bit closer, way off on the right side of the picture there, that's where the United States is. And watch what starts to happen here as this thing moves on through that area. Just disregard that image there. We start to get this strong northwest flow in the upper levels of the jet stream. A big old ridge builds in the western United States, and down comes the jet stream. So the upper level low over north central Canada there will divert the flow in from the northwest, and that's why over the next 2 weeks we should be getting a regular supply of cool Canadian air in here and the below normal temperatures that we're expecting to go along with that. So that's what I think is going to happen temperature-wise. And after this disturbance goes through the area tonight and dumps its heavy rains in Missouri, as this ridge starts to build, we'll get another cold front to develop here late in the week and over the weekend. Looks like that could produce some more heavy rainfall to our north, up in southern Minnesota and northern Iowa. But it does not appear that we should get in on the heaviest rains around eastern Iowa and western Illinois, where the grounds are currently the most saturated and the rivers are running high. So that is certainly some good news for us as we avoid the heavy rains here in the next 6 to 10 days. And overall, the pattern gets a little less active around here, and those temperatures are certainly going to stay comfortably cool. So that's the way it's shaken out here this evening. I think most of the severe weather will stay well west and south of the Quad Cities, but here and there, some scattered showers and storms will be a possibility later on tonight, and then we really cool down the temperatures by the time we get to Wednesday. That is your Monday evening briefing. Thanks for visiting tswails.com, and as always, roll weather.